Hello, everybody, and welcome to June's edition of Agent U. Laura and I are super excited to have our friends from Murphy Homes here to talk to us about new construction and give us the lowdown on how to best serve your client during the new construction process. We had a little chat with them before we started today, and I have to say, Laura and I have already learned a lot in the 10-15 minutes we've been talking to them. So we can't wait for you to have these little tidbits of golden information. Laura, anything for you to add here?
Yeah, I just think this is a really great time to be hitting on this, especially when inventory is a little tricky in the market right now. A lot of your clients might be looking to build a new home instead of trying to buy one of the few that's on the market. So we thought the best way to do this would be to talk to some of the builders from, the largest city in Alabama, and they're obviously continuing to contribute to that fact that it is the largest. And they were recently ranked one of the top places to live in the country. So I think that they're going to give us a really great perspective about what it's like to be building a home in Huntsville.
Yeah, they're really moving forward with design and process. So you're getting very good information here today that your clients want.
Yep. So Sarah and Randall, do you want to introduce yourselves? Tell us a little bit about how you got into the industry.
Absolutely. I'll start off. I'm Sarah. Thanks for having us. First of all, we're super excited and share just a little bit of information about the home building process. I actually got into the home building industry working in sales for appliances. Sounds kind of weird, but when you sell appliances to builders, they start asking questions, design questions, and that led me to interior design for a custom builder. And then that led me to Murphy Homes, which you'll learn later on in the webinar that we are not necessarily a custom builder, not production. We're kind of that middle of the road where we can personalize homes for you the way you need it. And I just felt that's where I wanted to be. That's what I thought people needed at the time, and so that's how I ended up at Murphy Homes.
Hey, I'm Randell. I've always been the blue collar type. Started working in a cabinet shop right out of high school. Moved up into a plumbing company, and it's actually our current plumbers right now. So that's how I got to know the owners of Murphy Homes and things like that. So once I got offered a job here, just hit the ground running. So that's how I got into the construction side of things.
Awesome.
All right, well, we will not hold you back. I know you have a lot of content to cover about how agents can work with a builder, what they can expect, and how to make the process a lot smoother for their clients and set realistic expectations so that everything goes well. So I know you have a presentation, so I'll let you guys hop into that if you want to
Take it away.
Okay, we're gonna get started, y'all. Go ahead and share this. Okay, so today, like they said, we're going to talk to you about how to work with a builder. So just based on the conversation we just had with Caitlin and Laura, there seems to be a lot of questions from that realtor side on how builders work and the process of how to work with a builder. So what we're going to start with is talking about what types of builders are out there, the basics of how to work with a builder, communication, process of construction, all of the, I guess you would say regular basics, right, of home building, new construction. So we'll go ahead and jump in and get started here with the different types of builders. So Randall's going to hop into this.
All right, so there's basically three different types of builders that we have. You have production, which are a lot of the spec homes that have already been built. You just come in, you buy the home, go from there. Semi-custom, which is what Murphy Homes is. So we have basic floor plans that we have. We allow you to come in. You can change a couple of things up, move some different walls around, things like that. And then you have custom, which is you can provide a plan. They will build whatever plan that you would like, and you can make any changes that you need to on that. And then you have different products. Let's say on that.
Yeah, so different builders build different product. And so what we have at Murphy Homes, we are a community-based builder. What this means is we only build our homes in neighborhoods, in our own communities that are developed. And that's where we build our homes. Now, you also have builders, typically you're a custom builder, maybe semi-custom builder that build on your land. So I'm sure y'all are familiar with these two different types of builders. As you've seen, most custom builders will just build on your land. You'll have a customer that says, hey, I've got these 30 acres, maybe it was passed down from family, or you just purchased it. And you're wanting to build a house on that land. And so there's builders that will specifically only build on that land that you own. So those are your main types of different builders that we see in the home building industry.
All right, so the different types of builds that we have also, we do all three of these different foundations. Okay, so you have a monolithic slab, which are what most of the homes around North Alabama. Then you have crawl spaces as well. I know you see that when you start getting into the northern sections of the United States and things like that. They have crawl space and basements, and then you also have a block and fill slab. So when you have your lots uneven or anything like that, you can do a block and fill to build a house up to have your different foundations.
Okay, and based on you've got your different foundations, different builders will build different types just based on the land that is available, how that land is developed in the area that they're building. You also have different product from those types of builds. So the product that personally Murphy Homes has and many other builders have would be one, your pre-sale homes. So let's say you have a customer that wants to, they want to find their own home site. They want to find their own floor plan, and they want to select the finishes and the styles, the design for that home to fit their lifestyle. They are going to be looking for a pre-sale home. So that's what we call, a home that it's not even built yet, right? So you would actually, as a realtor, you would bring your buyer to a builder like Murphy Homes and say, okay, we know they need 4-bedroom, 3-bath. And then that salesperson would take them on a tour of the community. You would get to select a home site, you select your floor plan that fits your needs, and then you actually get to design that home and you go through that construction process from start to beginning. So that's a pre-sale home. Now, inventory homes are the second type of product that we offer and many other builders offer as well. And I would say for today's market, these are very important, kind of like Laura mentioned earlier. In the resale market, you might not be able to find what you want or what your buyer is really needing for their family or their lifestyle. And so inventory homes are quick move-in homes that are typically designed by the builder. So usually with production builders, you won't be able to change anything on these homes. But if you have a buyer that is in need of something that is quick move-in, let's say they have to move within 60 to 90 days, then a good idea would be to reach out to the builders in your area where they're looking at moving and say, what do you have? What kind of inventory homes are available? When are they going to be complete? When can we get the buyer to move in? So very important to understand the difference between pre-sale, where you can design your own home, and an inventory home that is pretty much just built for quick move-in. Okay, so after we've gone through the product, types of builders that are out there, something that both Randell and I think are, is really important is the team that you're working with. So of course, the home builder team can change from builder to builder, right? If you're looking at a custom builder, they may be a really small team. There might be 2 people on that custom builder team, a coordinator, maybe a designer, and the actual superintendent for that project. But for us, a lot of, we'll say production builders that build in communities will have a team similar to what you see here. So I'll cover the sales team side of it since I'm over the sales and marketing for Murphy Homes, and then Randell's going to cover the production side of it.
Sure.
So the sales team starts with our online sales counselor. And if you've been in real estate, you've worked with new construction at all in the last 10 to 15 years, you've probably run into an online sales counselor. What they do for us, they are basically our experts for all of our communities. Every product that we sell, that OSC knows just about every detail about that product. And so that's pretty much our, what you would say, first line of defense maybe would be, first line of contact for a home builder. So Morgan is our OSC and she's fantastic. So what she does, let's say you're a realtor, you call in and you're needing quick information, or you need a tour scheduled for the weekend because you have a relo buyer coming into town. Well, Morgan's going to go in and she's going to schedule that tour for the new home consultant. So she's going to give you information on pricing. She can give you information on communities, whatever it is, she's the expert on that. So she's a great resource for any realtor out there. Something to remember is that most production builders have this resource for you. And they're usually outlined on their website, pretty easy to find. So that's someone to look for when you are searching for a new construction home for your buyer. Now, second, we have our in-house agents. So new home consultants are our sales agents for the builder. They are the ones that are actually going to help you tour the home, find the right floor plan, and write that contract. So pretty simple, easy to work with. And then also for us, we have a designer. So like Randall mentioned, we are not quite custom. Semi-custom is kind of what we would say. We let you personalize your home. We actually have a design center where the customers can come in. They come in with you, the realtor, and you get to select the finishes for your home. Now, other builders may not have a specific designer. I would say a lot of other production teams would have their new home consultant actually help you and the customer design the home in that model home. So that's a little bit of detail about what that sales team looks like.
All right, for the production side of things, we have superintendent, the support staff, and also a warranty manager. So when you come in, like Sarah said, and you sit down with a new home consultant, sign the contract, come in with the designer, you're able to change the floor plan and select the finishes on your house. Then you would meet with myself, which I'm considered part of the support staff. We will go through every detail of the plan. If you want to move outlets, we can move outlets. If you want to change room sizes up, you're able to do that with myself. And part of the support staff as well, we're responsible for all the pre-construction tasks. Pre-construction side of things or anything before the house starts, before we actually dig the footer for the home. So the support staff is responsible for getting all the permits, for getting all copies of plans over to the homeowner and things like that. Once the construction side starts and we actually dig the footer to the home, you will be dealing with the superintendent. The superintendent is responsible for the construction of the home and also for all of the quality inspections. So he is the one out there. They are the ones out there walking the house every single day, making sure that whatever the homeowner has selected to be inside of their home is the correct material going in. And they're just responsible for all the quality inspection as well. And then something that we do a little bit differently here at Murphy Homes, we also do customer walks, planned customer walks throughout the stages of construction. We'll get into the different stages a little bit later on, but one of them is a pre-draw walk where you as a realtor will meet with the homeowner on site or the home buyer on site with the superintendent, and y'all will walk through the house with the plans to make sure everything that is on the plans and everything that the home buyer has selected to be on their home is installed correctly. So another thing that we do a little bit differently at Murphy is we have a warranty manager. A lot of the production companies that you see around here will basically, once the home closes, they will give out all of their trades numbers and emails, and the homeowner is responsible for reaching out to the trades to make sure all their warranty items are taken care of. Here at Murphy, we do it a little bit differently. We have an actual warranty manager on staff full time. So he is responsible for reaching out to the homeowner and handling the communication between the homeowner and our trades. That way it takes a little bit of stress off of the back of the homeowner. Now, a lot of the times, once the home closes, you as a realtor are done with that transaction, right? If there's ever an issue with the warranty, where things are not getting done in time, that homeowner may reach out to you. It is important that you keep that relationship with the homeowner and help them out anytime that is possible, right? If you can reach out to the home builder saying, hey, my homeowner's having a really tough time getting warranties done, that goes a long way between the realtor and homeowner.
Yeah, so I think, this team that we've talked about here, made up of several different people. It's important to acknowledge that many home building companies will have a little bit of a different setup, right? So this isn't, specific to, every builder out there. This is pretty much, what our team looks like. And then I would say most of your sales teams look similar. Production teams are similar, with production builders, but it can be a little different. So it's very important to ask questions. So, and that will bring us to our next point, which is, very, very, very important to us as the builder, if we are going to be building your client's home. And it's also, we understand, very important to you as a builder, for your buyer to best serve them. Communication really comes first. So something that, Caitlin, Laura were talking about before this even started, was setting the right expectations. So our goal at Murphy Homes, and what should be a goal for, every other builder that you work with out there, no matter who it is to work with someone that is setting the right expectations on the front end. At Murphy Homes, we really do try to review our processes to create better experiences for you, the realtor, and the buyer, and even our own team. So we're constantly reviewing those. We're constantly trying to do what's right for our team, the customer, the realtor. And usually, whatever is easiest equals right for us. It's kind of what we go by. Setting those expectations on the front end makes the process easy. There's a lot of emotions involved in buying a home for a buyer. And it can be emotional for everyone involved. It can be a long process. If your buyer's purchasing one of those pre-sale homes, it's a long process. And it's something that should be fun for everyone. It should be something that you can look forward to. And so this is just a reminder to say, always look for a builder that you can communicate with, right? If communication is off from the very beginning, then let that be
how things are done.
Yeah, let that be a sign. So think about that when you're working with the builder. Look at their processes and ask all the questions that you want to. No, there's no bad questions out there. We welcome questions as a builder, even if there's a million questions. We understand that we're the ones out here every day. Randall's got his whole team out there, and they're the ones building the house. But even the sales team, we have questions, right? Sometimes maybe things change out in the field. Our own agents have questions for the builders out there, the superintendents. And so we know that you as a realtor have, a slew of questions probably throughout the process. So what we ask is you ask all the questions. Whenever a question comes up from the front end to the back end of the project, come to us. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Whatever builder it is, they should be willing to answer whatever you have. So be open to communication. And something else that I'll mention, just from the communication side of it, especially from the sales side, we really like for the realtor to be involved from day one, right? You're the realtor, you're going to stand up for your customer and whatever they need and what they're looking for. And so be ready to get involved, be ready to communicate. And, at Murphy Homes, we give weekly updates throughout construction. That realtor, if your buyer purchased with us, you're going to be the first one to know what's going on with that house each week. That's the most important communication for us. And so something important to look for when you're looking to work with a builder.
One more piece of advice as well. This is just from the construction side of things. The most important thing that you can relay to your homeowner is closing day is not moving day. Do not put that stress on them. There can be a ton of issues, whether it be inspections with different municipalities or be a lender issue, right? Their closing scheduled at 11 and they have movers set up for 1 o'clock and there's a lending issue and that closing is now pushed to the next day, right? So it's closing a home is very stressful on everybody, especially the home buyer. So just make sure that you set the expectation up front that closing day is not moving day, and that will help out on the back end very much.
So very, very good point. Very good point. So moving on to honestly the last section, and one of the most important, I think, educational pieces that we could offer any realtors out there is just the process of home building, how it actually works. And again, this can be a little bit different per builder out there. And we'll try to mention where it can be different, but this is important for you to understand so that you can set right expectations with your buyer as well. Just knowing and being educated on the front end. So I'll go ahead and start because, you know, all of the process to build a house starts with the sales side of it, right? Starts with you as the realtor really gaining the right information from your buyer to know what they truly need, why they're even moving in the first place, and understanding where they're at in their journey of buying a home, so that when you and your buyers show up and you meet with one of our agents, a good conversation can be had where we, as the builder, understand what that buyer needs. And so, you know, again, communication is most important in that meeting to really help us understand why they're moving, what they need for their family, and that kind of thing. So sales process, of course, you would tour a home, whether it's pre-sale or an inventory home. And then, you know, once you and your customers say, hey, this is what fits our needs best, this is what we want to do, we want to move forward, then a purchase agreement is written, right? So there's a contract. And again, we want realtors involved from the very beginning, right? So realtors, it's really important to be at those tours. It's really important to be there for the purchase agreement signing. That way, you know, from our point of view, we see that the customer is comfortable with the process. We see that, you know, you're their partner too, like we are after that sign. We see that all the partners understand where we're going, how we're moving forward, and we're all on the same page. So always fun to do that. And then once you have that purchase agreement, we actually have a designer in-house that we've mentioned before. And those pre-construction meetings is what we call them. Before we start construction on the house, we have multiple meetings. And so for us, as a semi-custom builder, your buyer and you hopefully will be in a design meeting with our designer so that they can select finishes, every design piece of their house that they want to. And that usually takes hours to do. But it's part of the fun of the process of making this home exactly what you need for your buyer, right? And so we love it. We absolutely love it when we have realtors there, because it's not only educational maybe for the realtor, but it definitely makes the customer more comfortable, right? To have everyone that's included in this process in each of those meetings.
Like Sarah said, after the design meeting, for Murphy Homes, you would sit down with myself and do a pre-construction meeting for the plans. Okay, so what the pre-construction meeting boils down to is I go over all the construction process, right? Give a rough timeline of things, right? Rough mechanicals take this long, framing takes this long. That way, we were trying to set the expectations up front early. We also go over the schedule and also any warranty information. So I go through and I document I talk about how our warranty process works, right? What they can expect once they close on their home. Like we have a scheduled 30-day warranty, right? So a month after they move in, if there are things going on with the house, right? Their master bedroom may be a little bit hotter than the rest of the house or anything like that. We already have a scheduled time where we're going to reach out 30 days after closing, and they can turn in any of those issues at that time, and we'll get those items taken care of. So we're just setting the expectations early on, like Sarah mentioned before. After the pre-con, the back office is responsible. The support staff is responsible for getting the copies of the final plans over to the homeowner, making sure all the documentation has been signed off on. That way, when we start construction process, everything is taken care of, everything going forward on the plans is correct. And if there are any changes that need to be made after the initial design meeting, those changes have been documented and have been taken care of, basically. All right. Next, we're going to talk about the start of construction to the closing walk. I got a little bit of notes here. In the pre-con process, I would sit down and I would talk rough timelines. I'm not going to give those rough timelines, right? Because that is specifically for us, right? Our framers may be a little quicker, maybe a little bit slower than some other companies. So I'm not going to get into the rough timelines and things, but I'll give you a step-by-step process of how building with Murphy Homes will go. So when we start construction on the house, we give at the time of contract, once it is signed, that purchase agreement, we give them an actual start date, right? So it's typically 6 weeks out on a pre-sale. So if you come in beginning of June, by the time you sign your purchase agreement, you already have a start date for, just say, the middle of July, right? That gives us enough time to get all the documentation, all the paperwork cleared up and signed off on, make sure the final plans are done. And that way, when the middle of July comes, once we start digging the footer on the house, everything is good to go. Okay, so we will dig the footer, we'll plumb the slab, and then we'll actually have it prepped for inspections. Now, you're going to have different municipalities, and there are some areas around here that do not require an inspection. Okay, that's an important piece to know as a realtor as well, because if it doesn't have municipality inspections, then that is a conversation that you can have with that builder saying, hey, I would like to have private home inspections done at A, B, and C throughout the build. That way you can ensure that everything that is being done and being built on the house is being done correctly, right, and up to code. But after the footer and slab is plumbed, we'll be able to pour the slab, then we frame it. We have all the rough mechanicals, rough insulation, and again, after rough mechanicals go in, you have another municipality inspection for us. Okay, so they'll come in and inspect all of the mechanicals, make sure that the house is clear to have brick put on, make sure that the house is clear to have the siding installed, and everything like that. We'll go into drywall, brick, siding, and things like that. We'll get the exterior of the home finished as quickly as possible. That's an important thing to know, especially going into the wintertime. Especially going into the wintertime, because once it gets into the rainy season, things on the outside do tend to slow down quite a bit. Okay, so we try to have the exterior of the home finished as soon as possible. That being said, we do not lay a yard till the very end. I know that's one of the feedback that I've got from my supers in the past is we've laid yards too quickly and they've having to spend 2 or 3 hours a day moving sprinklers around. So it's just, got kind of out of hand. But after drywall goes in, you're able to do cabinets, countertops, and floor tile and things like that. Then you have all your rough final mechanicals, final electrical, final HVAC, final plumbing, and also your final gas turn on at that point as well. For Murphy Homes, once we have all of the final mechanicals in, powers turned on, the HVAC is on, we actually come to a stopping point in the house. So they're about 2 to 3 weeks during a Murphy home build where the home buyer and you as a realtor will see nothing happen to the house. And that's an important thing to note at the very beginning of the build, right? There are 2 or 3 weeks planned where nothing's going to happen in that house. That is time for our mechanical or municipality inspections, and also time for us internally to do what we call a Murphy punch. So we'll take the plans and your selections, things like that. We'll walk through the house. We'll verify that the tile going in matches the tile on the selection sheet and things like that. But at Murphy Punch, we'll actually blue tape the house for the home buyer. We'll have it clean. We're able to go through, and anything that is incomplete or not to our standards at that time, we're able to take care of before we actually meet the buyer on site. For Murphy Homes, we meet with the home buyer a week before their closing date. It's what we call a homeowner orientation, right? Or a homeowner orientation tour. But the home buyer will meet with you, the realtor, our superintendent, and also our sales agent or new home consultant, right? We'll have them meet on site and they'll actually walk the house just like we did a week prior, but all of those items should be taken care of. And then that way the homeowner can see, hey, this is how you operate your gas range. This is how you operate your Renata. This is how your HVAC works and things like that. And also at that point, if there is anything that is incomplete or not to the homeowner standards, we are able to make a note of that and be able to get that fixed before our closing date. After closing, again, the most important thing that I can mention to you guys is closing day is not moving day. Okay. The reason for that, I explained earlier, there might be a lending issue, there might be a municipality inspection issue or anything like that. So closing day or the closing time does get moved. It's not a big deal for anybody, right? It just pushes back a couple of hours or maybe a day or two. But after the homeowner closes on the house, right? At the time of closing, we'll go over all the warranty side, the warranty process one more time. That way the homeowner understands the expectations that should be coming with our warranty process. That is a great thing to know as a realtor. If you were closing with homeowner and the builder does not go over any of the warranty process, that is a question that you can speak up and ask, hey, how does your warranty process work? Right? If it is where they were to provide the numbers and emails for all the trades, then you need to make sure that the homeowner has that before they leave to go to closing.
So I think something else to mention too with that closing, we have a closing coordinator at Murphy Homes, and most other builders will probably have one as well. And so you as a realtor, you have that communication with us, you and your buyer do throughout that construction process that Randell just talked about. For Murphy Homes, you would get weekly updates from us that say, okay, this is what happened last week, this is what's going to happen next week, and then this is, an update on your estimated closing timeline, which is extremely important. A good question to ask a builder, when you start working with them is what do your updates look like? What can we expect for our buyer here to be told each week during that construction process? But towards the end of it, we have those updates through the end, but we also have a closing coordinator that starts working with your lender. And so, a lot of builders have lenders they like working with, but maybe you and your customer, you've chosen someone, a different lender, and that's who the closing coordinator is going to reach out to about 30 to 45 days before that estimated closing date. And so the closing coordinator will reach out, they take care of the paperwork, and they communicate with the lender that you're working with. And so they set that closing, and most builders also work with a specific attorney for closing. And so that's something that is just set up for you, the realtor, and your buyer, right? We'll set that calendar date. You show up to the hoot walk and that closing day walk with the superintendent. And then you would go to the closing with the attorney that the builder has set and scheduled for you. So a lot of that behind the scenes work is really worked on by the builder's team and the lender that you work with, so that you're not having to, as a realtor, schedule, all these things like maybe you would for a resale home, if that makes sense. So
one thing I like to point out, sorry, I didn't mean to jump on. There's a lot of behind the scenes communication between the realtor and the builder that the homeowner does not have to be a part of, right? If there are certain questions that you feel like you need to ask them, right? That is not something that the homeowner has to be a part of. We actually expect and want you to ask questions, just like Sarah mentioned earlier. A lot of the time you won't be reaching out to the superintendent. You'll be reaching out to the sales agent or the new home consultant. That's who we like to have all of the communication go through, just kind of a conduit for our teams. But there's a lot of behind the scenes communication that you can be a part of that the homeowner does not need to be of.
Yeah, I think that's great to mention. Yeah, I think that's great. And we've already, talked a little bit about the warranty process too. So that's typically where you would end that whole closing and build process. So that pretty much wraps up the home building process, and I guess that education portion from us. So I will actually quit sharing my screen now, and we will be happy to answer any questions that you'll have.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah and Randell. That was awesome. Obviously, we learned a lot there. You had a ton of good info for us. Let us see if we have any questions.
Yes, this is your time, guys. As they said during their presentation, ask all of the questions that you can think of. So if you have any right now, that's great. Obviously, you can get in touch with them later after this live stream as well. But this is a great time to ask questions while we have them here live. I do have a couple of questions myself that I can kick it off with, just to throw you a little bit of a curveball. But is there any common myth or some kind of thing that people just assume is an issue with builders that you hear from agents or clients?
Yeah, let's bust some myths if we can think of any.
That's a good question.
Any assumptions that people have?
The common myth that you have is the builder is always out to one up on you, right?
Okay.
Builder says they're going to do A, and we actually come back and say, actually, we have to do B instead. It's most of the time, especially for merchant homes, it is in the best interest of the homeowner. We are not out to get you. We're not out to get you just your money or things like that. That's one of the very common misses.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just especially being a builder that is semi-custom, right? We may go through that design process, and if your buyer decides to change structural items on that front end, we may have to go back after we go to drafting engineering and say, oh, we thought we could do this with the home, and we're going to have to do it a different way.
Right.
Right. And so it's exactly like Randall was saying. It's, we're trying to serve you best by giving you the best option for what you want in your home. And if we come back and we can't do it, our best solution is to bring a couple of ideas to you and change it a different way. But
I've got one more for you.
Right.
Hearing no is not.
No, that's not structurally sound, and it will fall on you.
Hearing no is sometimes the best answer for a home, right?
Yeah.
Hey, we want to do it this way. It's not going to look the best. We've been down the road before, right? We know what it's going to turn out to be, and it's going to set the right expectations from the very beginning. If you say no to an issue instead of, well, I don't know, let me ask, let me see if we can do that. As a realtor, if you've been down the road before and you know it's not going to turn out well, saying no at the very beginning will help the home buyer.
Very accurate.
good point. Very good point.
I've got a question.
Okay.
What is your favorite house that you have built to date? And is there anything special about it that makes it your favorite?
That's a good one.
My favorite one that I've built personally. We have a plan called the Harper. It is normally our 2-story plans are all closed off, right? You have the first floor and second floor. But in this specific Harper, it was a new plan that we had launched. I think we had built 1 or 2 of them beforehand. But this homeowner came in and said they wanted a 2-story living room. And so just being part of the drafting process. And
I love a 2-story living room.
It turned out beautiful. That's been my favorite house that we've built so far.
Awesome. How about you, Sarah?
Oh man, I feel like there's been a couple. It's typically going to be the houses that, we have what we call cottage homes and estate homes. Okay, so Harper is a good example of a cottage home. These 2 different products fit on different sized home sites. Okay, so your estate home is going to be on a wider home site. So it's typically going to be like your ranch style, maybe the bonus. Those estate homes typically will see people really, really personalize and really change up really the look of the whole interior of the home. Okay. Those I think are the most fun. From the sales side,
yeah.
It's a lot of work on production.
It is, but once you get to the very end of the closing day and you see everything put together, you see everything buttoned up.
Yes, that's why we went through the ringer, because it looks so good in the end.
And that's why we're here, like especially the builder of Murphy Homes, is we want your buyer to have what they actually need for their family and their home.
That's why they're coming for new construction in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah, being able to offer that is it's awesome.
I wasn't part of this build just because I had moved up into management. I'm out of the field. But we had a homeowner the other day show up to their closing day just start crying. And that builder called me and was like, "Hey man, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if she's upset." And I was like, "No, like you did a great thing. Like, that's what you had." So that was good to be a part of this.
Rewarding.
Yeah, that does sound super rewarding.
Yeah.
Happy tears are always good. I actually have a related question to that. Is there a point in the process where clients are able to change their mind on design elements, like up to? Because I'm assuming at some point you've purchased the things, you need to do it. Like I'm sure they start seeing things happen and they're like, this is not what I want. So like, how do you handle that?
Thank you so much for asking that, Laura, because we mentioned this. This is one of the biggest questions people have. Okay, so as a realtor, please listen. Change orders. They're called change orders. Change orders. A lot of builders will not do change orders after construction starts on the home. Production builders, most of them will not do change orders. So you make sure and change what you want on that home before you start construction. Murphy Homes being semi-custom, We do allow change orders for certain items. So let's say cabinets have already been purchased and they're already in production. We can't really change that,
Right.
at a point in construction, but maybe we could change a paint color, right? Because the walls aren't painted yet, maybe drywall's not in yet. We could change paint color at that point. So it's different for every builder. So something to ask on the front end, as the realtor, what are the change orders? What's the process? When can we change things if the buyer feels like they need to during that build process? That's a great question.
Is it usually called change order, or is there any other terminology that people use for that?
I think I literally
I've always heard change orders.
Okay.
As in them now. But change orders is,
Yeah.
if you mention change order, they'll know what you're talking
Good to know. Ask
Actually,
what the change order process would be and if they're allowed.
about. And we actually, we went one step further and we created a change order matrix. So it lists out from the time that construction starts all the way to closing day. And then it's got the different process or different stages of construction. So like after framing, we don't allow any change orders for structural side of things. And it tells you that your red X on the box. And that way, so if that's a great question as a realtor, if you come into the pre-construction process and ask, what is a change order process like? And do you have a set schedule of when change orders are allowed to happen, when they're not allowed to happen?
I love that you already have a matrix figured out for that.
Well,
That way they can initial on it, say they saw it, and that's off of you guys and the agent, and it's on, you got to decide what you want as a grown-up.
No, that's true. Yes, it does have to be signed. No, that's a great question. There was something else that made me think of. Another question that would be really great for you as realtors to understand and be able to set the right expectations in the beginning with your buyer or the builder would be asking about the timeline of construction. We didn't really hit on that very much. Every builder is going to be different. And of course, depending on whether you buy a pre-sale home, where you're going to go through that whole construction process, or you buy an inventory home with your buyer, then that timeline looks different. So ask about the timeline, ask about estimated start of construction. We personally at Murphy Homes work off of what we call a quote unquote slot schedule, a start schedule. And so we know, beginning of the year, this is when we're going to start so many homes, because that's how we know we keep our quality of our homes.
Yeah.
And other builders should have a similar schedule as well. So definitely remember to ask about timeline and start of construction from the builder you're working with.
And it's a good thing to know as a realtor too, at the very beginning, when you meet with your homeowner and you're asking them, what timeline are you looking at to build right? Are you looking to build in 6 months? Or are you looking to build in a year or a year and a half? Right here at Murphy Homes, we work off of a 180-day build schedule. So roughly 6 months to build your home from start to finish, right? I believe it's 8 months by the time you add in the pre-construction process from the time you sign the purchase agreement. But for a production build, they're a little bit faster, right? They're anywhere between 90 to 180 days just because they're on the track set.
Does it also matter, like the topography of whatever surface you're building on, and that factors into how long it's going to take?
Yes, ma'am. The different types of foundation, like we mentioned earlier, like the monolithic slab is what we deal with. That is, we can dig the footer and then within 2 weeks, we're able to pour it.
Okay.
A crawl space or a block and fill based on the topography of the land. Then that can be anywhere between from the time you first start to the time you're ready to pour, either a month and a half.
Okay.
So it does change a lot.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Laura, do you have any other questions? I don't.
I had one more for them. Are there any kind of events that clients or agents can look for in the area, just in general, but also with you guys, so that they can get a little bit more information? Or do you work with brokers locally to educate them? Should agents be trying to set up those kind of events within their own brokerages just to gain more information?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question, Laura. We do. So our whole sales team, and from time to time, we bring in production as well. We always offer lunches, breakfast, whatever it is, for local brokers, North Alabama area. And we are excited and happy to educate as many realtors, brokers as we can on the process of building, how Murphy Homes works, communication of it, everything we've talked about today and more. So if you're in the area, reach out to us and we will bring lunch. We will pay for it and we'll educate you on what it looks like, what it needs to look like. And then also, if you're not local too, we're happy to hop on a call if you have more questions. And I know Randall is too. We've, been in this for, I guess, over 5 years each now.
Yeah.
So we've got some experience. If y'all have any questions, we're available too. So we can put our email addresses in the chat box below. We'll do that. And so if anyone wants to reach out, we are more than happy to answer any more questions.
Oh yeah.
And then also, I know that was the last question, but I do want to say one more thing. Just based on the current market, you probably have buyers that are interested in moving, buying a new home. But if they're interested in new construction, they may not want to sell that home quite yet when they start that new construction home. So we see this quite often. And something to remember, it is really important to set that expectation with the builder to say, okay, when does the buyer need to sell their current home that they're living in? Go ahead and set that expectation. Some builders won't even take contracts until that home is sold, to be honest with you. So go ahead and have that conversation on the front end. And then also it's important what we've seen. It's important for you as a realtor to be knowledgeable about writing a contract. If you're going to represent them on that sale of their personal home, learn how to write into that contract a lease back or something like an option for that buyer for a few months. So that gives them the ability to only move once, maybe between that resale home that they're selling into the new construction home, if that makes sense.
That's a really good point, Sarah. Really thinking of it as full picture, not just one transaction. It is the entirety of getting person from point A to point B and how to get them there.
Right. Yeah. So we've been through that several times. We've seen it not work out just because maybe the buyer didn't understand. They didn't know that was an option.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely something to educate yourselves on. And some of y'all probably know more about it than I do because I work for the builder side of it. But it's something that's very important to use that knowledge and share it with other people when it comes to new construction.
Yeah, keep everybody involved in the process as a whole. This actually brings up another thing. You bring up lease backs. I know a lot of mortgages, you cannot do a lease back. So this is important to have your loan officer, your realtor, your builder, and the consumer all talking about how to make this happen before you get the contracts together.
Right. That's perfect, Caitlin. Yes. So bringing up the lenders. Lenders are so important. So important in the entire transaction, right? We, especially at Murphy Homes, we work with several different lenders, but we really like to keep that relationship tight knit so that we can communicate with them at least once a month for every buyer that is currently building with us, buying with us, so that we know if they're in a situation like that or a different situation, we're able to communicate and we're able to figure out the best path forward for that customer.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
It does, yes. Good communication in a team.
All right. I think that's all we've got here for today.
Yep, I just have a couple of quick Agent U announcements for things coming up. We do have our giveaway winner for the spring.
I need a drum roll.
Yes, we were doing a 2 Agent U branded air tags and an Agent U t-shirt. And the winner that we have is Gail Brankus. So excited. Thank you so much for the feedback you've provided. Seriously, every time we get feedback from one of our viewers, it really just helps us know what we're doing right, what we can improve upon, so we can bring more content that's valuable to you. So please take advantage of those surveys that you're getting.
Tell us what you want.
Tell us what you want.
To give it to you.
Yep. So Gail, we'll be reaching out to you to get those prizes over to you. And with that, we're also launching the next giveaway, which we'll also post on our social channels. So make sure that you're following along there. It's going to be a 14-quart Pelican cooler with some Agent U branding on it. So it's gonna be perfect for all of your summer outings.
Take it on the pontoon while you're fishing. Keep everything cold all day.
Do we want to keep it ourselves a little bit? Maybe.
Absolutely.
But we are going to give it away. It's really nice. It's really pretty blue. So we're looking forward to that. So please keep an eye on your email, and it'll have information for how to give some feedback on this session and to be automatically entered to get that prize. In addition to that, our next event in July, it's going to be with a continuing education trainer in West Virginia named Josh McGrath. We're really looking forward to talking with him some more. So keep an eye on your email and your socials for more information about what he's going to be presenting. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Sarah and Randall. This was awesome. We've had a blast with you guys today.
Thank you
No,
so
thank you
much
much
for
for having
having
us.
us. It was a lot of fun to learn from you all as well.
I'm sure at some point we'll be emailing you a question that we come across that has to do with new construction. So glad we made
Yeah,
it.
it's exciting for us.
Awesome. All right, everybody, have a fantastic rest of your month, and we will see you in July. Bye.
Yeah.
See you guys.